A crowd of around 200 people packed the St. George City Council chambers, overflowing into the lobby to listen and voice their views on the Safe St. George 5-year plan. The plan would use a slight property tax increase to help fund police, fire, and emergency services.
This is not something that we will do in 1 year. It's a 5-year plan. This demonstrates how those new personnel, fire facilities, and other apparatus and equipment will be added over that 5-year period.
The city's overall budget for 2023 is around $506 million. Included in that was a proposed 27% increase in property taxes designed to offset funding for the future of public safety, including infrastructure, equipment, and more personnel.
We will also replace 100 police vehicles for our existing officers, and with the Safe St. George, we'll fund 46 new police vehicles. We will increase the compensation for our current sworn police officers and firefighters, which will help us to retain and recruit those highly needed personnel. And we want to keep our great personnel that are in those departments.
Many of the problems are due to unprecedented growth.
We have seen increases in traffic-related issues, outlaw motorcycle gangs settling into our community, illegal drugs, violent crimes, and violence against our officers.
These fire stations are needed to reduce the fire department's response times, which have increased from 4 to 6 minutes on average to 7 to 9 minutes over the past 4 years due to the growth in our outlying areas of the city.
Even with the new positions we've hired, we're having a hard time keeping up, and we're wearing our people out. And the fact that we're having a hard time keeping up is in no way a reflection of the quality of the people who work for the city and our police and fire departments. They're among the best of the best, and I know you all know that.
But in order to retain and recruit the best of the best, the city says it will have to increase wages. This especially holds true for those with some of the most stressful and critical positions.
We're about 25% understaffed in our 911 center, so overtime is a constant battle, staffing is a constant battle, coverage is a constant battle. I think our hope is that we will onboard more people and better compensate the people that we have so that they can take time off, take weekends off, not be required or be asked to work so many hours.
I see the shortage that we have. I see the struggles of, I hear the complaints about traffic and the frustration, and it's frustrating for us as officers because we just don't have enough officers. The cost of living here is increasing every day, and our wages are not keeping up with that.
Many agreed these critical positions should be paid more, but not at the expense of higher property taxes.
I think out of a $500 million budget, we can find money for the police officers without raising taxes, and for the fire department, public safety. I really believe that if we cannot accomplish that, it's ridiculous.
I understand that we would all like to spend more money on public safety, but with what's coming down, I think this is just poor timing.
Out of a $100 million budget, the first $27 million should have went to our police. It should not be pitted against police, against constituents as far as taxes go.
With all the new move-ins that have come into this town, all the building permits, all of the funds that are being generated, I find it incredible that we would think doubling not doubling, but a 57% increase in the budget.
The city of St. George does not have a revenue problem. It has a spending problem. I mean, dude, what has happened to us? The last 10 years, it's kind of like, who can build the biggest ass building?
What needed to be done first, I wouldn't be in business. I would be out of business. But I'm not a state entity that can tax. Or I'd never go out of business, I just tax you, okay? You've got an allocation problem of the funds you have. Go back to the drawing board and fix that.
And I know everybody says, well, get money from somewhere else. Where are we going to get it from? Parks and Recreation, administration, because that's who I want running the city, is people that aren't the best of the best. Bring in the best.
We are behind with our staffing, and our police officers are working extra hours, some 12, 13, 14-hour shifts, only to get a few hours of sleep and be back doing the exact same thing again. We need more police officers, and if we're going to do that, we have to be competitive, and we have to be in the conversation.
It was mentioned and shown, and it's on everyone's mind, that the economy is down.
but crime does not follow that. In my profession, I work in fighting human trafficking, and just in the last year, there's been an increase of 35% of reported cases of online exploitation. And those are cases that are most effectively fought in a proactive manner.
I say a prayer every single time my husband has to put on his badge and go out to work, and he gets a SWAT call out, and our girls are scared that their dad's not going to come home safe. And when he's running a patrol with, at the best, 7 guys, typically 5 guys, for the entire city of St. George, that's not safe.
During the City Council's Truth in Taxation hearing, 70 people voiced their concerns. It took 4.5 hours. It's been 35 years since the city has raised property taxes on its behalf in St. George.
Problem is, we've had many councils before us that have kicked this can for a very long time, and we can continue to kick the can. And in 2 or 3 years, your property taxes would be a whole lot more by continuing to kick that can.
A motion was made to accept the 5-year plan by Councilwoman Larkin. However, the motion was never seconded. A second motion was made and later amended by Michelle Tanner to keep the property tax level where it is.
So when I look at the budget, and many of you have mentioned, compared to Provo, which also has an airport, sewage plant, 30,000 more people, and they are a $390 million budget. We're $503 million. And to me, that's a big issue if we're putting out public messaging that we can't properly fund the most important #1 aspect of our government unless we tax you. To me, it doesn't make sense.
The motion was seconded by Jimmy Hughes.
At the end of the day, and this will be no surprise to this council, I am very concerned about the economic situation that we are in. So I think unfairly we are getting the brunt of a lot of the issues that are brought onto us by our national government and maybe even some by our state government. That I think to be responsible we have to really consider. Those people who are on a fixed income, that's important to me.
The motion was voted on with all council members voting in favor of it except Councilwoman Larson. An alternative plan is to cover the costs with one-time funding. All members of the council agreed that public safety should be funded and that they will find a way. The city will now have to go back to its budget and find out where to make up the more than $3 million difference it was lacking for 2023's budget. In St. George, Melissa Anderson, Community Education News.